read through this class of prospect market hogs with me today. Thank you, Colleen Heller, for sending these in. These are her daughter's pigs that they're going out for a July fair in the market class. So I'll take a little bit longer to explain through reasons so that I can really kind of show and break down it, but I'll try and keep it in the same order and style that you'd hear in the show ring. So my final placing was quite a bit different than how a lot of you saw it. I saw this class 1, so this pig here, 3, the black gilt, 2, that thin belted gilt, and then I found 4 in last place with that white butt. So for me, I think the biggest thing that came down from this class is you need to understand that these are pictures, and pigs are very hard to take pictures of. If you've ever tried before, you know they move, they like to get around on you, and they do not stand nicely, whether you're taking pictures or looking at them in the show ring. So, granting a lot of things to that, 1, we can't get a whole understanding of the pig in front of us, and 2, some of these may be just because of those pictures. I think, the logical thing here to do is to find 1 and bring it to the top, right? I think a lot of you discredited it because it didn't quite look square off that end. That front foot comes forward a bit, and I think that's just the angle, right? That pig was about to take a step forward, follow the hand, just wasn't quite set up the best way it could be. I don't think it's because that shoulder is truly that far forward. But you look past that, and she's got a lot of pieces and parts that you want to see. I'm saying she here, I'm taking a guess based on that tail head, though I can't see teats or anything on the underline just because of the picture. But I think she comes in with the biggest rib, right? You come in, she's got a good underline, good sweep, lots of definition through that back end, losing nothing to the bone here off either side, and muscle definition through that ham and down into the hock. Again, that foot being pulled forward does make her look maybe a little bit long here, but you can see that her toes are nice and straight, planted well. That pastern doesn't look too soft, too upright, maybe a touch straight in this front blade here. Could be a little bit more relaxed and curved. I think that's not part of the picture. But you follow that extension all the way through, and she looks very clean in her jowl. She still looks like she's got a decent width, especially in that front chest floor. The big thing I'm looking for here, she's not running downhill at all. Her hips are about on par as she's getting on with that front shoulder. This back set maybe just gets a touch small down to the ground there. I'd like to see her bulk up in this muscle and keep that muscle on going as she's through. But overall, I think she's just the most balanced, the most complete pig out of the entire set. And then this middle pair got a bit more tight for me, but I found it was still fairly easy for me to pick 3, right? And initially, a lot of people didn't like this pig, right? I think her back foot coming forward made her look a lot smaller and maybe more posty than a lot of you thought. And she actually is, but when you get down to it, she's got a lot of the same features that we see in that top gilt, right? She's got that bold rib, she's got that good underline, she's got heavy bone here. Again, touch, she's getting pretty straight up in this front blade. I don't think that's the picture, but she's still clean through that jowl, maybe a bit of a longer neck here, but you can still see she's plenty wide off of that top. I want to follow up with more muscling through this front ham. Again, maybe a little bit more of an extension. I think if she had picked out that leg a little bit longer, I don't think any of you guys would be complaining about that. So, for me, there's a couple things to fix on her, but she's definitely more on the show pig side of it than anything else, and nothing majorly that I'm going to blow holes in here. And then, for me, this 3rd place hog is like polar opposite, right? A lot of you guys really liked that she was square off either end, which is definitely some good things, right? However, there are some bigger concerns that I have with her. She has some rib coming into there, but for me, it looks like she's fallen flat quite a bit, not quite as wide over the top. Again, a little hard to see because we're seeing a full flat on angle here, but she's starting to get a little loose in this jowl. I do like that her skull is decently short, but on the grand scheme of things, that's not as important as everything else. And for me, you get behind her, and this back leg just comes in very, very long, right? These hips and her front shoulder, too, is decently high to match it, but this long leg is really what you're going to see in the production side of the show, and the production side of the world, the swine world, not necessarily the show-wide side. It means she's going to grow a little bit slower, she's not going to have quite as much of a rate of gain, she's not gonna finish out as bulk, as dense, and as powerful as we see the other pigs. So for that reason, and you can see again, some of that comes in. Her bone doesn't have as much density. There's not as much width here. And then the other thing that does concern me, especially being an early prospect, is it's hard to tell in this picture, but it looks like her pasturing here is pretty flat and pretty soft. I'd be worried that when we want plenty of give, we want plenty of flex to this front foot, but when you've got a really square blade that comes into a really flex, you're worried she's going to get out underneath herself, and she's not going to be able to plant as well, and that joint there is going to break down a little bit more. So could be just the picture, just the way she was in that moment. Could be something to watch out for if you're going to keep breeding her. But again, she's fairly well balanced all the way through. I don't have as many concerns with that. I just want to see more expression, more rib, a lot more of that powerful look that we are seeing in the pigs before her. And then I think most of you guys saw that this pig falls pretty well into the bottom slot. It matches actually quite well with our third place gilts. So I think this one's a barrow, taking a gander at it. I actually do want to say I really love his front 1/3, right? Comes in very, very clean, very short-necked, stout-faced, and a lot of muscle, a lot of definition. I like the way this is placed here, and it does seem to have a decent bone. However, you start to look and follow back and you just kind of lose it. This pig is not balanced well. That back hip for me just is much too high and starts to run downhill. So you can see that this swoops down and in. It's almost like you cut this pig in half and you have two separate pigs there for me. This back end again gets very, very long, more towards that production side versus that front flashy show pig side that we see coming in through the front. Does have some decent muscling through that back end, but that hip being high just very much concerns me. Presents an off-balance look that isn't just due to the picture here today. So for that reason, sits on the bottom for a final placing of 1, 3, 2, 4 here today. So I found that to be a lot of fun. I've got quite a few pictures that I'll keep going through, and pretty busy here on my end, but I'll try and post 1 or 2 when I can. If you have more animals you'd like me to break down, feel free to send me an email to pipsandchicks@gmail.com and follow us on our Facebook page for more. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed it and found it as fun and informative as I did. Have a great rest of your day, guys.